I'll take you on a curious journey to the Netherlands. What am I going to talk about? First, I'll give an introduction on the taste of place. What is place branding? I won't rehearse what has been told before. I'm going to do something, new, the first international food quiz. So I think everybody should look in their bag if they have an answering form with 15 questions. And it's written, the first international food quiz, taste testers. It should be in the bag. If it's not, please raise your hand and some other people will give them to them. I will use that in the middle of the presentation, more or less. Well, then we go into a practical project, Arnhem, which you heard already today. And I'll end with some conclusions, which will give some food for thought. Well, who am I? I'm a project manager, place branding expert on identities, place branding, tourism, culinary tourism, sustainable tourism. I've done my PhD at Erasmus University on place branding and placemaking. But let me start first. Okay, some people, that's what people often do in tourism. Some people look for beautiful places, but others make a place beautiful. That's something to think about. I want to start with a topical thing. David Winner wrote a few years ago an interesting book about brilliant orange. It's about Dutch soccer and the way we play soccer. And of course, there was, in 1974, we invented the total football game. And it had a huge impact on football on the whole world. In 1988, it was still okay. But 4 years ago, there was nothing left because of this tackle in the final in South Africa. But what happens in 2014 is that this guy, Robin van Persie, makes one of the most amazing goals ever. And what does it does? This action influences images so much more than all the words you can say about how wonderful we can play. So action is what makes what has an influence on image and nothing else. Well, let me start also with a quiz-like questions like this. You have several images of several levels of image, like product, class, brand, and I will give you some examples of these. Everybody has some thoughts. Okay, what is beer? What is beer like? What are your associations? What are your associations with a brand, like Heineken? What are your associations with a company, like Heineken Company? It's a brewery who once started in Amsterdam. You have also an image of the beverage sector as a whole. You can also have an image of just a local liquor shop. Everybody has all kinds of images in his head. It's not the first thing you think about when you think about Germany. You can think of Angela Merkel, but is she really drinking beer? So it's a really strange combination. What I would like to say with all these things is that the set of dimensions and facets that exist in people's minds are very complicated. This looks like a very complicated figure, and it is, because it's all mixed with all kinds of associations. And probably the Dutch have different associations with beer than the English and the French. Okay, it's an alcoholic, but what are the associations which go around it? That's an interesting thing. So what is image? Image is the place. Image is the sum of beliefs, ideas, and impressions that people have of a place. That was what Kotler, the marketing guru, wrote 20 years ago. If people see this was my breakfast, it's obvious, isn't it? It is, of course. Yes, it's a taste of England. It's that simple. But look at what the symbolic meaning of this breakfast is, which you can eat all over the world. Taste of England. This is the taste of? Yeah, why do I hear that from a Dutch one? This is, of course, the taste of Scotland. It's Angus beef, Scotch whiskey, and salmon. This is the taste of, a little bit more difficult. This is the taste of Yes, good. You're good, getting good shape for the quiz. This is the taste of Vienna, of course, Austria. Which place is this? Very symbolic and iconic image. It's Tuscany, exactly. And Tuscany is, of course, the place of pizza, Chianti, basil, pasta, and tomatoes. A little bit more difficult. Which one is this then? Mountains, yeah. Dutch mountains. Look that up. It's a nice song by the Nits, Dutch mountains. Well, shall I help you? It's Piemonte. Very well known for the Asti Spumante. Oh, this goes too quick for me. The wine and the truffles. The truffles, for instance, are a very rare product of that region. Another difficult one. What kind of dish is this? Can I ask the French? Who's French? What's the dish we have here? Which place? Exactly, that's the one. Coquille Saint-Jacques. This is the le goût de la Bretagne, les saveurs de la Bretagne, the taste of Brittany. But if I would have shown these pictures, I think everybody would have known. So the power of this St. Jacob's shell is so powerful that it's directly connected with the place itself. So it's almost symbolic for that region. So symbolicness of products can be very, very interesting. What is place branding? We heard the word today very, very often. What is place branding? We are surrounded by brands. You know, if you get up in the morning, you see already your breakfast, your coffee, your tea, they're all brands. You go by the car, by petrol, or you buy petrol and you see the brands. Brands are really everywhere. You're surrounded with brands. What is branding? Branding is a name, term, design, symbol, or any feature that identifies one seller's goods or service as distinct from others. That's the most important thing. You want to be distinct from the other competitor. Place, what is place? Well, there are three fundamental aspects to place. It sounds so simple, place. What is place? Place is where, place shape, the sense of place, and the attachments. The where is, okay, where are we? Well, okay, we are in Hastings. This is the shape, this is the locale, the location, the scene. And this is the sense of place. What kind of feeling does it give to you? And it's not, like often is mistaken, place branding is so much more than logos and slogans. They are the end of the game. But what should you do then? Well, place branding, and that's very important, the essence of place branding is to create a specific and distinct identity. It all starts with identities and a unique sense of place in order to be perceived by customers and to create a good image and build up reputation. And that's a long-term stretch you have to go. It's not something you can do tomorrow or next week or next month. It's a 5-year or 10 years investment. And that's the problem with politicians sometimes. They want to see results tomorrow or next month or next year, and perhaps they're not politicians anymore. But still, they are responsible for financial affairs. So you should find a way to go through that. Why brand places? We already heard it. Global competition. Competition is tough. You know, everybody's competing with everybody. But you want to influence the image, as I told you, to attract the right customer, business, and investors. Very important for the identities. Well, identities are the starting point for place branding, and you have to start with culture. Why is this place so different than Belgium, or different than France, or different than Netherlands? It all starts with a simple thing of culture, because culture embodies everything. It's what I've said already: distinctiveness, sense of place, history, and I'll explain all of them to you. Because the cultural differences differentiate places from one another. And the thing is with research is okay, but how do you play research on culture? Well, the Dutch sociologist Hofstede He operationalized culture in an interesting way, which he can use which is very useful in place branding. At the heart of a culture are the values. You have the rituals, the heroes, and the symbols. I thought, okay, I'm in the UK. I'll give the example of the European Union. Maybe I'll add something to the convincing strategy of David Cameron, or is he not in favor? I don't know. Because, okay, the symbol, the euro sign, well, here you have pounds, but maybe one day you will use the euro. It will be much easier. I won't have to change money again. Hero, well, is he a hero or not? Well, he's one of the persons who is the hero of the European Union. Well, you can differ your opinion about that, but he is a hero. The ritual are every 4 or 5 years, the elections. And one of the central values of that culture, European culture, is of course democracy. The interesting thing is what you can do with this culture, you can put it on any place, on every region, on every country. And you see the differences which tell, and they explain a lot about what the culture, what is behind that culture. The book I always like to focus on is George Ritzer, when it comes to distinctiveness. He wrote a book, I think 10 years ago, Globalization of Nothing. It's about non-places, non-persons, non-things, but non-places are very interesting. I think everybody in the UK knows the clone towns. It means, okay, you are in a town, but you don't really know where you are because all the shops are the same. We have the same in the Netherlands, the same in Belgium, clone towns. Same thing with fast food worlds. In a fast food world, the good thing is, if you're in Bangkok or Tokyo or in Amsterdam or in New York, if you go to McDonald's, you know what you're going to get if you enter the fast food shop. But what you're missing is the local sense of place and the local food. So there is no identity and no distinctiveness. Yeah, I have to look at the time every once in a while because, you know, Dutch soccer starts at 5 o'clock. Well, let me say something very nice about the French. They have a very interesting word, terroir. And terroir, it's very difficult to explain, but the thing is, all food are expressions of identity and a sense of place. And terroir has that feeling. It's a very interesting concept. Good enough to look more into it, but not today, because I have more things to do. And globalization, well, in globalization, place doesn't matter. But in the regionalization, in the terroir, place matters again. That's one of my main points today. History is a very interesting thing. Hastings 1066. History is an indispensable and never-ending source of knowledge for the identity of places. It's always the question, where do you link your identity the most to? Well, here it's obvious in Hastings. Nobody can tell you what it was like, but we have an idea. Must be bloody. The thing is, making better places for people to live and better places for people to visit is, okay, what is so sustainable about it? Well, one of my main points in what we did in Arnhemuiden is that you should root the place branding in the representations what residents want the place to be like. I'll come back to that later on as well. Okay, you have a kind of identity and you want to do something. Then you can start with placemaking. So place branding and placemaking go together. Placemaking is product development for places' identities and the sense of place by efforts in orgware, hardware, software, and virtualware. I will give you after the quiz lots of examples of, okay, what can you do on orgware? What can you do on hardware? What can you do on software? Okay, now it's time for you. Everybody should take your answering form. I hope it should start. Arnhemuiden are not leaving because they've done it already, but they have to dress up for something, for a big surprise later on. Okay, what are we going to do? Well, these are the rules. Everybody should take a pen. And your answering form, you get 15 questions from me. You get 15 seconds to think on every question. And it's a simple action what you have to do. Just choose A, B, or C. And after 15 questions, I will not leave you behind with all these questions. I will answer them also. Is that okay? Everything clear? Shall we start then? Question 1. What means MSC? A. Mare Sustainable Certification, Master Sustainable Certificate, Marine Stewardship Council. Well, if you're into sustainable food, you should know. If you don't know, we'll just go to the next one. Which country do we taste here? Thailand, Bhutan, Myanmar. Now, I sometimes get difficult questions because I need a winner in the end, okay? So don't get desperate. Organic farmer covers how many % of the total utilized agricultural area in the EU? Organic farmer, how many? 6, 9, or 12%? Well, if you're in favor of organic food, you should know. I'll check on you. Next time I'll ask everybody to put down his name. Next one. Pizza has become a very globalized product. What you can eat anywhere. The product isn't any longer connected with place. But where does the pizza originally come from? Rome, A. B, Naples, or C, Pisa? Pisa and pizza looks a little bit similar, huh? Maybe a little help. Okay, next one, because I have to be ready at a certain time. Shrimp fishing on horseback in Oost-Duinkerke on the representative list of intangible cultural heritage of humanity. Which picture are the shrimp fishers? This is an easy one for the people from Flanders, huh? If you don't know, just pick one. I forgot to tell, we have prizes, huh? We have prizes for the winners. How many potatoes go in one bag of chips or crisps of 1 pound? How many? 4 to 6, 8 to 10, 10 to 12. Slow food is an international movement which promotes itself as an alternative to fast food. It strives to preserve traditional and regional cuisine and encourages farming of plants, seeds and livestock characteristic of the local ecosystem. How many countries are joining slow food? 50, 100, 150. So when I tell you the answers, you have learned something today, won't you? Next one. Which fish is the well-known codfish? And I've even translated it for you. A, B, or C? Which country do we taste here? Hungary, India, or Laos? I always test these quizzes with my wife. She only had 3 right this time. This is a nice one. The Chinese word for fish is you, me, ta. I thought, well, you, me, sounds very Chinese, doesn't it? Which photograph shows palourdes? I expect the French to have this absolutely right, of course. You can't see them. I'll just pick one. McDonald's is one of the biggest fast food chains in the world. How many restaurants does McDonald's have? More or less. 35,000, 58,000, or 72,000? What is the overall fishery production worldwide? 1.1 billion ton, 1.5 billion ton, or 110 million ton? Question number 14. What kind of fish can be found most of the time in fish and chips? It's a simple question. I think every English should have this right. Last one. How far travels our food before it's ending up on our plates? 1,500 miles. I've even translated that in kilometers. 3,000 miles or 6,000 miles. Okay. Well, if you really trust yourself, you can correct it yourself. If you don't trust yourself, you have to ask your neighbor. I even have to write down the correct things as well. So we're going back now, okay? This one, this answer is C. The Marine Stewardship Council is they're doing a labeling scheme that certifies fisheries that are sustainable. Question number 2 is Thailand. Number 3, the answer is A, 6%. Question number 4 is B, Naples. Pizza comes originally from Naples. Question number 5 is also B. Question number 6 is C, 10 to 12. Question number 7 is also C, 150. So it's really worldwide. Question number 8 is A. Question number 9 is B, India. Question number 10 is A. Question number 11 is C. Number 12 is A, 35,000. Question number 13 is C. Question number 14 is C. And question number 15 is A. So can you please count how many correct answers you have? Okay, who has more than 10 correct answers? Who has 9 correct answers? What, did you have 10? 10. Where are you from? Where, you both have 10 good correct answers. $11. That's really good. I shall tell my wife. Where are you from? Belgium. I should have known. My wife lived for 7 years in Belgium, and she said they even have a better kitchen than the French. Okay, but back to the presentation. But can you come back later? I have a small prize for you. I have to go back to the journey. Now we go focus more on Arnhemuiden. But first I have to tell you, okay, where is Zeeland situated? This is interesting picture. This is Zeeland 10,000 years ago. It was connected to England. So you could walk from, some Neanderthalers probably did. They walked from the Netherlands to England and they started a culture. Something like that. It must have gone like that. But what I want to show you is how Zeeland got formed. 750 or 7,000 years ago, Zeeland wasn't an island area. In 750, it was a little bit like this. And nowadays, it's really an island area. It's good to keep that in mind. Agriculture and fisheries are very important means for economic development. They have been for decades. But the thing is, what has to happen now is they have to reinvent agriculture and reinvent fishery, more sustainable, more organic. How should you do that? I'll give you some examples, like organic farming in Zeeland. With the group, we visited Hofwelgelegen, an organic farm in Middelburg. Culinary tourism, it was already mentioned, is very important. Restaurants having their own farm. It's like looking for diversification in agriculture. Aquaculture is, for instance, fishing on the land, more or less. But if we talk about economic opportunities on a local level, I'm going to tell you some more examples of Arnhemuiden. And of course, the place identity is a very important starting point. You want to enhance the sense of place, which is over there. And how do you do that? Well, by placemaking, focusing on orgware, software, hardware. And of course, you know, when you talk about hardware, it's not something you can do tomorrow. When you have to do with people, with residents, this is the place where Zeeland is situated when you look from a northwestern European perspective. But I want to tell you a little bit more about the history of Arnhemuiden, because Arnhemuiden hasn't always been a fishing community. Till the 16th century, Arnhemuiden was a very flourishing trading city. It was even more important than Middelburg. You should know that Middelburg and Amsterdam were the center of the world in the 17th century, the golden age of the Dutch. And even Arnhemuiden was even more important than Middelburg till the 6th century, competing with Middelburg. But Arnhemuiden had 1,500 residents, Middelburg 5,000, so not very much. But how is it possible that a city like Arnhemuiden, which was directly situated at the sea, lost its position to Middelburg, who was not close to the sea, but more inland? I'll show you on a map of 1590. Here you see Middelburg, more inland, and Arnhemuiden, which was very close to the sea. Well, what happens? It's more or less a downturn of Arnhemuiden. The power shifted away. The power went more to Middelburg because there it was the capital. The silting of the harbor got silted by sand and things like that. And very important, in 1572, it was destroyed by the Spanish. And it took till the 18th or 19th century that fishing became a very important means of living. Poverty and the geographical situation led to fishing. In around 1870, Arnhemuiden had 1,675 residents, and 2/3 of them earned their money in the fishing. So fishing was very, very important. So if you compare it to the Middle Ages, it's a big and enormous change. Well, in 1871, there was the damming of the slough. There was a construction of the railway line. Fishermen moved to Veere and Vlissingen. And in 1961, the Veerse Dam, you know, all these Dutch delta works took place. And it was the end of fishing for Arnhemuiden. There was no more connection with the open sea. But the thing is, Arnhemuiden still feels very much a fishing community. Still a lot of people work in the fishing industry, but not in Arnhemuiden itself, but outside. So if we look at Hofstede's culture, what are very important cultural values, they are being a fish community, a very strong social cohesion, strong sense of community, very authentic, religious, and strong working ethics. They are the things which are important. Other things which are important are, if we look at the culture, the shrimp. They were shrimp fishers. The street sellers are very symbolic for Arnhemuiden. Well, the fishing boats are, of course, the earrings, all kind of things explain about what the culture is like at that place. And it's different than Middelburg, which is 5 kilometers away, which gives it a very particular sense of place? Well, if you start by working, you want to do something with the identity, you start with the people. They invented the women think tank. Women are very important on the visions of, okay, what do we want with this village for the future? They have their dreams. And of course, together with other international project partners, you start thinking, oh, what can we do on Zeeland's, on Arnhemuiden's identity? It's not something which happened only just 2 or 3 years ago. Arnhemuiden was already thinking for a longer time on what can we do. So one of the things they did is they restored the fisherman's wharf, which had been there for more than 250 years last year. So they did that already, but they wanted to do more. So they redesigned the museum last year. And that's a hardware, what you can do quite, not easy, but it's something you can do next year. But if you want to do waterfront development, everybody who is working in development takes quite a long time. Hardware development is costly. It takes time. But here I give you some ideas of what the ideas are, how they should develop the waterfront in Arnhemuiden. One of the things is, in Arnhemuiden, it's a fishing village, but the strange thing, and you can believe it or not, they don't have a fish restaurant. They have a snack bar where you can eat shrimp croquet, but there's not really a fish restaurant. So one of the things is you try to create circumstances for people establishing a fishing restaurants. Other small things like small fences and maritime designs which enhance the sense of place. It's just small details which create more that you are in a fishing village. The city names sign, you can use the symbol, the clocks, and the fish sellers, and the special boat, which was only belonging to Arnhemuiden. With photographs of how it used to be, create also a nice atmosphere. 5 more minutes, I think. Street art figures, and very important is that you use local residents as a model for the street art figures. It gives enormous sense of pride. So here you see the connection between the fashion shoot and the street art figures. Fish boxes, just to enhance the atmosphere of the place. Another thing what we did is use the heritage as a source of inspiration. The thing is, can you make new market product combinations, innovative connections based on old fishery traditions? So one beautiful product they created is they redesigned a fisherman's sweater. Every village in Zeeland or every village in the Netherlands had their own pattern of fisherman's sweater. And what they did is bring that back to the market and redesigned it. They organized also a fashion shoot to make promotion on this fashion sweaters. Even elder men joined this campaign. And it's very important for residents to see, okay, our governor's people are doing also into that. One of the events they organized was a fashion show in April on the wharf, of course, to create and to enhance the atmosphere of that place. Shall I skip the software, the LibDub they created with the whole village? The whole village got into the LibDub film, and maybe if you have time tomorrow, it's only 3 or 4 minutes. You can see it down, and I'll skip that because of the time today. Soccer, you know, soccer kills everything. And of course, virtual, where you create websites to join forces and to join initiatives to promote your place. That's one thing, but also local entrepreneurs start websites about knitting issues. About knitting the sweaters and all kinds of things. So I come to my end. So one of my main conclusions, okay, place identities and their cultures are central in place brands. Food, like the notion terroir says, food enhances the sense of place very much. And residence should be the starting point for a community-led regeneration and place branding. So it should be rooted in them. And meaningful experiences between hosts and guests encounters give so much more to both the residents and both the visitors than just the superficial adventures that many tourists have. Well, thank you for inviting me and thank you for your attention. Any questions, suggestions later on? Complaints except about the quiz, you know, skip that. But get ready for the biggest surprise of this conference, and well, let's hear it and see it. Well, thank you.